Now, I will tell you the story of a special character named Rita. You already know her, but she comes from a different world called Tocoboca. But one day, she accidentally found herself in the world of Avatar World. Now, I will tell you her story. In the world of Tocoboca, there lived a girl named Rita. She was curious and always ready to explore her amazing world. One day, Rita set out for a walk through the beautiful meadows and forests of Tocoboca, enjoying the beauty of nature and the cheerful sounds that surrounded her. During her journey, Rita accidentally turned the wrong way and wandered into the depths of a mysterious forest. She felt that something was not right, and overcome with excitement, she lost consciousness. When Rita came to, she found herself in a completely new world, which turned out to be Avatar World. She was completely overwhelmed and couldn't understand how she ended up there. Suddenly, a woman named Daisy emerged from the trees. She was friendly and explained to Rita that they were in Avatar World. Rita was amazed and fascinated by this new world. Daisy told her about the various amazing places in Avatar World and showed her its beautiful sights. Rita was thrilled with all the encounters and adventures she experienced in this unusual world. But suddenly, during their stroll, a mysterious man with magical abilities approached them. It turned out that this man was the forest guardian and had transported Rita to Avatar World because it was his forest, and he didn't take kindly to unexpected guests, but he offered her the chance to return to the world of Tocoboca, understanding that it was not her native world and he had acted harshly. However, Rita declined this offer. She had fallen in love with Avatar World and its captivating atmosphere. She decided to stay here to continue exploring this magical world, meeting new friends, and immersing herself in the adventures that awaited her. And so, Rita made the decision to stay in Avatar World, to enjoy its wonders and live her extraordinary story in this magical realm. Now, I will tell you the story of a special character named Nari. She was fascinated by magic in her world, Tocoboca. But one day, she accidentally found herself in the world of Avatar World. Now, I will tell you her story. In the world of Tocoboca, there lived a girl named Nari. She was passionate about magic and wanted to learn how to wield it. She studied ancient books and experimented with ingredients. During one of her experiments, Nari mixed up the ingredients and directed her magical energy in an unknown direction. Suddenly, Nari found herself in a completely new world, Avatar World. Confused and a little scared, Nari decided to explore this new world. During her adventures, she met a guy named Mike. Nari told him her amazing story of how she accidentally ended up in Avatar World from the world of Tocoboca. Mike, in turn, believed her because his grandmother was a witch, and he believed in the existence of magic. Mike offered to help Nari return to her world, but Nari decided that before that, they could perform a ritual she had long wanted to do, a ritual that would allow her to fly. Mike was thrilled at the opportunity to help his new friend, and they set off on a journey through Avatar World to gather all the necessary ingredients for the ritual. During their adventures, they encountered different creatures and collected rare plants and artifacts needed for the successful completion of the ritual. In the end, Nari and Mike performed the ritual together, combining their powers and magical energy. Magic came alive around them, and Nari suddenly felt her body lifting into the air. The ritual was successful, and Nari realized it was time to return to her world. With a heavy heart, Nari said goodbye to Mike, grateful for his help and friendship, and used her magical power to return to Tocoboca. She understood that although they lived in different worlds, their friendship would always be strong and special. Thus, Nari and Mike became friends who connected two different worlds through their shared adventurous story. And even though their paths diverged, they would always remember their encounters and how magic brought them together. Now, I will tell you a story about a charming heroine named Nancy. She works as a saleswoman in a bakery. Once, something amazing happened to her. Now I will tell you the story. Nancy was an ordinary woman who worked as a salesperson in a small bakery in the town of Avatar World. Her buns were famous for their delicious taste and freshness, so she always had many customers. But over time, Nancy started to feel tired of the daily routine. Every day was similar to the previous one, and she began to long for something special in her life. However, something amazing happened during her usual workday. When Nancy noticed that the buns were disappearing from the counter, she thought she was imagining things. But the feeling that something was off didn't leave her. Deciding to investigate, she stayed after work and saw something that looked like a person stealing her goods. And to her surprise, it turned out to be a gnome. The gnome, named Tommy, told Nancy his story. He was an orphan and was simply traveling through Avatar World when he noticed Nancy's shop. He was incredibly attracted to the delicious buns she made and couldn't resist the temptation to steal a couple. Tommy felt a strong sense of shame for his actions, but he simply couldn't resist the temptation. Instead of blaming the gnome or calling the police, Nancy felt sympathy for him. him. She realized that Tommy needed help and kindness because he had no parents or home. Instead of punishing him, she offered him a job at her bakery. Nancy saw potential in Tommy and decided to give him a chance to change his life. Tommy agreed to Nancy's offer and they started working together. Tommy turned out to be not only a talented thief but also a skilled baker. With each passing day, he improved his skills and added his own recipes to the bakery's assortment. His buns were simply delightful, and word quickly spread throughout the town. The fame of Nancy's store and her heroic act spread far beyond the boundaries of Avatar World. People from other cities came to try the magical buns baked by this unparalleled team, Nancy and Tommy. The store became even more popular, and it was visited not only by locals but also by tourists. Nancy and Tommy turned their bakery into a true landmark of the city. Now I will tell you a story about a little girl named Evelyn. You can find her in a ballet school where she diligently trains. Once something amazing happened to her. Now I will tell you the story. Evelyn was a passionate and talented girl who dreamed of becoming a famous ballerina. She worked hard, training at the ballet school, striving to improve her skills and overcome all the challenges in her path. Her friend Mike was also a talented dancer and supported Evelyn in all her endeavors. One day, their school announced a competition that gave a unique opportunity to perform at the most prestigious dance competition in the world. It was a great honor and a chance for young dancers to showcase their talent to a global audience. Evelyn and Mike decided to participate in the competition. They trained intensively, choreographing complex routines and improving their techniques. Evelyn was full of enthusiasm and dreamed of winning and showing everyone her unique passion for dance. The day of the competition arrived, and the young dancers took the stage in front of an enthusiastic audience. Evelyn and Mike performed their breathtaking routines, but when it came time to announce the winner, it turned out that Evelyn had lost. She was deeply disappointed, but instead of feeling envy or bitterness, she was genuinely happy for her friend. Mike was declared the winner of the competition, but instead of accepting the award, he approached Evelyn and gave her the victory. He saw immense potential in her and knew that she deserved the win more than anyone else. It was a truly touching and generous gesture from Mike. Evelyn was amazed by her friend's kindness and support. She accepted his offer and performed at the prestigious Avatar World competition. Her performance was captivating, emotional, and full of energy. She embodied her passion and talent in every movement, winning the hearts of the audience. At the end of the competition, Evelyn was announced as the winner. She gained fame and recognition in the world of dance, and her future became bright and promising. But instead of pride in her victory, she decided to give her trophy to Mike. She acknowledged that without his belief in her and support, she wouldn't have been able to achieve such success. She expressed her deep gratitude and appreciation to him for seeing her potential and helping her fulfill her dream. Hello, now I will tell you the story of a resident of Toca Boca, who, thanks to his intelligence and perseverance, ended up in the Avatar world. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell it to you. Leon was a young and passionate resident of Toca Boca, dedicated to scientific research. From an early age, he immersed himself in the world of science, reading numerous books and seeking knowledge. He always strived to excel in his studies and achieved excellent results. One day, Leon read about the existence of parallel worlds, and this topic deeply intrigued his imagination. He decided to become the first person capable of creating a passage between these worlds. With immense enthusiasm and dedication to his goal, Leon began working on his project. Years went by, and Leon tirelessly worked on his research. He conducted countless experiments, studied theories, and gathered the necessary resources. And finally, his perseverance and skills bore fruit. Leon managed to create a functioning portal that transported him directly into the Avatar world. Upon finding himself in the Avatar world, Leon was amazed by its beauty and diversity. He immediately set out on explorations, marveling at everything he saw. During his adventures, he encountered a beautiful girl named Lisa. He shared his discovery about parallel worlds with her, but unfortunately, she didn't believe his story. Undeterred, Leon decided to show Lisa his portal and prove to her that his story was true. He transported her to Toca Boca, a world that was familiar and dear to him. Lisa was stunned by what she saw and finally believed in the amazing possibilities that unfolded before them. In that moment, an incredible idea struck Leon to conduct tours of different worlds for people so they could see and experience all the wonders he had encountered himself. His knowledge and experience made him the greatest scientist in both Toca Boca and the Avatar world. Thus, Leon became not only an explorer and traveler, but also a mentor, making the impossible possible for others. His story became a legend, and his name remained etched in the history of Toca Boca and the Avatar world for centuries. Now I will tell you the story of a little girl named Katie. One day, she had a very strange acquaintance. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell you more. Katie was an ordinary girl who went to school, did her homework, and had fun with her friends. Her life was no different from the lives of other children in their small town. However, one day at school, her best friend Gwen told her about a strange book she had found in the attic of her house. Gwen asked her mom about the book, and she told her that it belonged to her great-grandmother, but was off limits. However, Gwen decided to see what was written inside. The book turned out to be filled with mysterious spells, and Gwen decided to study it. She suggested to Katie that they summon a ghost to see how well these spells actually worked. At night, when everyone had already left the school, Katie and Gwen stayed behind. They spread the book out on an old writing desk and began reciting the strange words from the spell. Suddenly, strange sounds filled the air, and Gwen got scared and decided to run away. However, Katie couldn't move from her spot. She felt that something strange was happening. When the noise subsided, Katie cautiously looked around the room and realized that nothing unusual had occurred. She left the school feeling bewildered and headed home. But when she went to sleep, she felt a strange presence. Opening her eyes, she saw a strange white figure in her room. Katie got scared and opened her mouth to scream, but found that she couldn't make a sound. She was paralyzed with fear. The ghostly figure approached her and asked why they had summoned him. Trying to gather her thoughts, Katie began apologizing and crying, experiencing mixed feelings of fear and guilt. However, to her surprise, the ghost didn't show any aggression. On the contrary, he thanked her for being the only ones who could summon him. The ghost told Katie that he had been lonely and unable to communicate with ordinary people for a very long time. His heart was filled with joy at the opportunity to have a conversation with her. Thus, Katie and the ghost spent the entire night talking. They discussed the past, dreams, and fears, and gradually, Katie stopped feeling fear towards him. In the morning, the ghost disappeared but left a sense of warmth and an unfamiliar connection with the invisible world in the girl's heart. When Katie told her friend Gwen about her new friend, Gwen didn't believe her. She thought that Katie was just making up stories and seeking attention. Therefore, the encounter with the ghost changed Katie's life. She found her place in the world of words and stories, where magic and reality intertwine. Now I will tell you the story of a boy named Aiden. Aiden was an ordinary student who was born in the world of Toca Boca. He led his everyday life, went to school, and rarely got good grades. Aiden didn't have many friends, and he often felt lonely. One day, during a chemistry class, Aiden felt a strong urge to fall asleep. He decided to take a little nap, leaning on his desk. But when Aiden woke up, he found himself in a completely new world, the Avatar world. He was shocked and couldn't understand where he was and who he was. Aiden approached a group of kids sitting nearby and asked where he was and who they all were. To his surprise, they all knew him and didn't understand what he was talking about. They thought he was joking and just laughed at him. After classes ended, Aiden went out into the hallway, and there he met his parents. He tried to tell them about his strange adventure, but they too just laughed. Aiden noticed that his parents in this world were very similar to his parents from Toca Boca, but they were much kinder and more caring. Together, they went home, and Aiden fell asleep. The next morning, he woke up again in the Avatar world and went to school. This continued for a very long time, and Aiden began to get used to this new world, which he really liked. In the Avatar world, Aiden made real friends, and he no longer felt lonely. He had support and understanding from his parents, who were always there for him. Additionally, Aiden achieved great success in his studies and sports. He became an active participant in track and field competitions and even finished first in the races. However, one day, during a competition, when Aiden was on his way to victory, he tripped, hit his head, and lost consciousness. When he woke up, he found himself back in the world of Toca Boca, in class. Aiden had mixed feelings. On one hand, he was happy to return to his familiar world, but on the other hand, it was very difficult for him to leave behind everything he loved and cherished in the Avatar world. In the end, Aiden realized that each world has its own unique characteristics and values. He appreciated his life in the Toca Boca world, where he had family and friends and where he could experience joy and happiness in familiar surroundings. At the same time, he cherished the memories of his adventures in the Avatar world, where he found new friends, achieved success, and hoped that one day he would be able to return there. Now I will tell you the story of a guy named Carl. He's an ordinary student who visits a store every day, and everyone there knows him. But one day, something strange happened to him. And now I'll tell you the story. Carl, an ordinary student, once encountered an incredible adventure. Carl was a passionate culinary enthusiast and dreamed of becoming a chef. Every day, he visited the local store where all the staff knew him. On that special day, Carl decided to prepare a complex recipe and headed to the store to get the necessary ingredients. He picked out everything he needed for his experiment and went to the checkout counter to pay for his purchases. Suddenly, darkness and enveloped the entire store, and the lights went out. Carl looked around and realized that there was no one else in the store. Feeling a sense of unease, Carl decided to go outside to check what was happening. He made his way through dark passages and stepped onto an empty street, not encountering a single person along his way. He was filled with fear and bewilderment. However, as he continued his journey through the city, his gaze fell upon a strange figure in the distance. Carl gradually approached the figure and eventually realized that it was not an ordinary person, but a creature clearly not from this world. He suddenly felt mixed feelings of fear and curiosity swirling in his heart. He didn't know what to do and tried to escape but couldn't move, paralyzed with fear. The alien approached Carl and started talking to him. He explained that they had chosen Carl for a special purpose, to create a new planet where Carl would become the first inhabitant. Carl was shocked by what he heard and thought it was probably some kind of prank organized by his friends. He decided to play along and politely declined the alien's offer. However, the alien was very disappointed by Carl's refusal because Carl was the perfect fit for their plans. Eventually, the creature decided to release Carl and opened a portal before him. Carl cautiously stepped into it and suddenly found himself inside the same store where the lights came back on and numerous people appeared. Carl didn't tell anyone about his strange adventure, realizing that they wouldn't believe him. He decided to keep this secret in his heart. Nevertheless, this adventure remained etched in his memory forever, making him ponder on the existence of something greater than he could ever imagine. Hello friends! Today I will tell you the secret of one of the most unusual characters in the Avatar world. His name is Cameron, and he is not an ordinary person, but a monster. Now I will tell you about him because he has an interesting story that no one in the Avatar world knows. Cameron used to be an ordinary person. He worked as a regular salesman, had few friends, and a boring life. He loved spending his free time walking in the forest, almost in complete darkness, and looking at the stars. One day, after a tough day, Cameron decided to take a walk in his favorite spots in the forest. He sat down, looked up, and saw a shooting star, and he made a wish. In his thoughts, Cameron asked for a complete change in his life, at least one friend and the happiness he had been missing. Admiring the starry sky, Cameron fell asleep, dreaming of change. In the morning, Cameron arrived at work earlier than usual and decided to arrange the products for sale. And then a regular customer named Bob entered the store. Cameron decided to approach him to say hello, but as soon as Bob noticed him, he screamed and ran out of the store. Cameron didn't understand why Bob was so scared, but suddenly he saw his reflection in the shop window and didn't recognize himself. His appearance had completely changed. Cameron realized that he couldn't be among people with such an appearance. The next day, he left to live in the forest. Every day, Cameron enjoyed nature and suddenly felt that happiness he had been seeking. But one day, he discovered a girl in the same spot where he had made his wish, who looked very similar to him. They introduced themselves, and her name was Sarah. She told him that she also wanted to change her life and made a wish. They decided to live together in the forest. That's how Cameron became happy and found his girlfriend. With Sarah, they enjoyed their new life, which was gifted to them by the shooting star. Now, I will tell you the secret of a character that you all probably know. Her name is Adele, and she works as a baker. However, she is the most mysterious character in Avatar world. None of the city's residents know her secret, but now I will tell you. Adele was a talented baker in a city of Avatar world. Her unique desserts were known for their exquisite taste and their ability to bring happiness and joy. She always strived to use the freshest and highest quality ingredients to create the perfect dessert for her customers. One day, Adele decided to create a special cake that would bring happiness, love, and attract good luck. She wanted her customers to not only enjoy the taste of the cake, but also experience additional moments of joy in their lives. To achieve this, she used recipes from her grandmother, who was also a baker and had an interest in magic. Adele studied the recipe, experimented with different ingredient combinations, and carefully selected the best products. After extensive research, Adele discovered that certain ingredients and symbols could attract good luck. She added special edible diamonds to the cake, which were left to her by her grandmother. When the kaki was ready, Adele invited the residents of Avatar World to her bakery. She offered each of them a slice of her special kaki and told them about its ability to attract good luck. The city's residents who tasted the cake felt that events in their lives started to go in a special way. Some won the lottery, received unexpected promotions at work, while others found their true love. Everyone who tried Adele's cake began to experience more joy and happiness in their lives. Word quickly spread about Adele's cake throughout the city. People from all corners of Avatar World came to her bakery to try this mysterious cake and attract good luck into their lives. Now I will tell you a story about a character you all know. This is Joe. He lives near the forest and has never been to a big city. However, one day, his life completely changed after an amazing incident. Now I will tell you about it. One day, Joe heard about a local talent competition happening in a city nearby. His heart raced at the opportunity to showcase his talent to people and possibly go further than his small settlement near the forest. With excitement in his heart and faith in his abilities, Joe decided to participate in the competition. He spent hours practicing his voice and choosing the perfect song that could convey his emotions and passion for music. On the day of the competition, Joe was filled with nerves and doubts, but he decided to give it his all. Before Joe's performance, a talented actor took the stage and played a fierce pirate, capturing the hearts of many people watching the competition. In the following act, another contestant showcased his acting skills by playing a brave prince who defeated a dragon and won the heart of a beautiful princess. Joe watched the competition unfold and started to doubt his own abilities, becoming more and more nervous. He was on the verge of running away when suddenly his name was announced, and he stepped onto the stage and began to sing. His voice filled the hall with music and emotions, captivating the hearts of everyone present. When Joe finished singing, he heard the hall erupt in applause, and he realized that his voice had been heard and appreciated. The judges, as well as the audience, were amazed by his talent and the passion with which he performed the song. He won the talent competition. With his victory, a new chapter in Joe's life began. He became famous and popular in the music industry. His voice became a symbol of passion and sincerity, and people simply adored his performances. Joe received an offer to record his own album and embarked on a journey to different cities, sharing his music and inspiring people. He became an idol for many aspiring musicians, showing them that dreams can come true if you believe in yourself and overcome your fears. So Joe, an ordinary guy from a small town, became a popular and successful musician. Now I will tell you the story of a character you all know well. This is Sarah, who goes to summer camp every year, but she doesn't like it at all. Her parents send her to this camp to improve her health, but she can't make friends with the other children, so she always spends her time alone and would rather be back home. But one day she finally found a friend. Now I will tell you this amazing story. Sarah arrived at summer camp, feeling a mixture of impatience and reluctance to spend another summer away from home. She knew she would be lonely and bored, just like in previous years. But something unusual happened this time. One dark night, when Sarah couldn't sleep, she saw an unusual figure running past her window. There was something mysterious and alluring about this silhouette. She felt a strange desire to follow it, and she decided to leave her room and see what was happening. As soon as Sarah stepped out of her cabin, she saw the shadowy figure standing in the darkness. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, but then the shadowy figure spoke to her. It turned out that he too was lonely and had no friends. He accidentally ended up in the Avatar world, where no one could see him except Sarah. Sarah and the shadowy figure spent an unforgettable summer together. They swam in the lake, jumped on a trampoline, had picnics under the stars, and laughed until tears streamed down their faces. With each passing day, their friendship grew stronger, and Sarah no longer felt lonely at camp. However, when summer came to an end, it was time to leave. The shadowy figure explained to Sarah that they could only meet again next year in the same camp. Sarah was sad to say goodbye to her friend, but she knew they would keep their special connection and eagerly await their reunion. Sarah returned home, full of memories of summer camp and her shadowy friend. She eagerly anticipated the next summer to go back to camp and meet him again. Throughout the year, they maintained their connection through letters and messages, sharing their adventures and dreams. And then summer arrived. Sarah once again went to camp, where she joyfully reunited with her shadowy friend. They resumed their playful activities and spent another unforgettable summer together. In this unusual way, Sarah found a true friend in the most unexpected place and learned to appreciate the unique bonds that can form even where you least expect them. Today, I will tell you an amazing story about Harry, one of the most extraordinary characters in Avatar world. Harry was a young boy with a huge interest in future technologies. He was an inventor at heart and used his incredible creativity to create amazing things out of ordinary junk. Using old electronic components and materials that others deemed useless, Harry created smart toys, robots, and even prototypes of futuristic devices. As he grew older, Harry started having increasingly ambitious goals. One day, he decided to create a high-tech metal suit that would grant him superhuman abilities. However, he needed a powerful energy source for this. In search of such a source, Harry stumbled upon a portal left by an extraterrestrial being. He used that portal to obtain the energy source he needed, and then dedicated 2 years of his life to creating and perfecting his suit. When the work was complete, Harry transformed into a true superhero, ready to help people and protect them from any dangers. One day, after mastering all the abilities of his suit, Harry learned to use it to view the past. During one of these viewings, he discovered himself at the time when he desperately needed a powerful energy source. This revelation stunned Harry. He realized that the stranger who helped his younger self was none other than Harry himself from the future. He realized that the strength and knowledge he gained from that stranger were the result of his own actions and choices. Harry was inspired by this discovery and decided to use his abilities to help others and make the world a better place. Thus, Harry became a true hero, combining his amazing technology and superhuman powers to protect people and overcome any challenges. He became a symbol of hope and inspiration, for all the inhabitants of the Avatar world, proving that each one of us can become the hero of our own story. Now, I will tell you the story of an unusual character named Mr. Fox. He is from the Toca universe, but one day he accidentally found himself in the Avatar world. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell you about it. Mr. Fox was an ordinary resident of the Toca universe, where he worked at a pet store. He was a devoted animal lover and often spent a lot of time taking care of them. One ordinary work day, a new pet, a spider, was brought to the store. Mr. Fox was intrigued by this unusual creature and decided to play with it. However, during the game, the spider accidentally bit him, and Mr. Fox lost consciousness. When Mr. Fox woke up, he found himself in a completely different world, the Avatar world. Surrounding him was a pet store, but it was different from the one where Mr. Fox worked in Toca. Suddenly, his attention was drawn to a girl named Jessica. Mr. Fox decided to tell her his incredible story, and to his surprise, she believed him. It turned out that Jessica had gone through a similar situation herself. She was from another world and ended up in the Avatar world after being bitten by a rare snake. Now Mr. Fox didn't know how to return to Toca, so he decided to stay and start a new life in the Avatar world. He found a job at a pet store and began taking care of animals, just as he did before. With each passing day, he grew more accustomed to his new life and grew to love the animals he cared for. A month passed, and one day, while playing with a dog, Mr. Fox threw its favorite ball. Suddenly, he felt immense fatigue and decided to sit down to rest for a while. But when he woke up, he found himself back in Toca. He was greatly surprised and had difficulty accepting the fact that everything that had happened was just a dream. However, Mr. Fox noticed the same ball he had been playing with in the Avatar world next to him, and there was a spider nearby. This confirmed that his adventure was not just a dream, but a real experience. And so, Mr. Fox remained with the memories of his adventure and the new world he had visited, and he continued his ordinary life in Toca. Now I will tell you the story of an unusual character named Hiroki. He is from the Toca universe, but one day he met an alien who transported him to the world of Avatar world. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell it to you. Hiroki was an ordinary resident of the amazing Toca universe, but his life took an unexpected turn when he met a mysterious alien. This alien became his loyal friend, and together they explored different corners of the universe. But this time, their journey led them to the wondrous world of Avatar world. Avatar world was similar to the world in which Hiroki lived, but also different in many ways. This world was full of magic and exotic creatures. When Hiroki and his alien friend first set foot in Avatar world, they felt a wave of awe and wonder before this world that seemed completely new and amazing. Hiroki and his friend immediately began to explore everything that Avatar world had to offer. They tried the local food, which was different from what they were used to eating in their Toca universe. They discovered unique flavors and aromas that awakened their senses and made them feel a part of this magical world. One of the most memorable moments of their journey was visiting an animal shelter. Hiroki and his friends saw a variety of creatures they had never seen before. They played with cute and playful beings, took care of them, and showered them with their care and love. In that moment, Hiroki realized how important it is to cherish and care for nature and living beings. During a walk in the park, Hiroki accidentally met a girl named Mary. She was enchanted by his story of traveling with an alien from another universe. A special connection formed between them, and Hiroki felt that he had fallen in love. He told Mary about his wonderful adventures and how life in Avatar world had changed him. Mary was amazed and fascinated by Hiroki's story. She also felt an extraordinary attraction to Hiroki and didn't want to say goodbye to him. They spent more time together, getting to know each other and enjoying beautiful moments together. In the end, Hiroki made the decision to stay in the world of Avatar world for the sake of Mary. He realized that his heart belonged to this world where he found love and meaning in his life. Now I will tell you the story of an amazing character named Nonoko. She is from the Toca universe, but has been living in Avatar world for a long time. A wizard transported Nonoko there. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell you about it. Nonoko was a resident of the Toca universe, where she spent her days experiencing constant hunger. Her love for food was extraordinary, and she constantly sought out new places to find delicious treats. She visited stores and restaurants, depleting their food supplies. Soon, due to her insatiable appetite, Toca began experiencing a food shortage, and the local residents became worried. One day, concerned citizens decided to seek the help of a powerful wizard to solve the problem of Nonoko's insatiable appetite. The wizard, possessing incredible magic, decided to teleport Nonoko to another world, Avatar world. He hoped that the new environment would help Nonoko realize that food should not play such a significant role in her life. When Nonoko arrived in Avatar world, she was shocked and amazed by the new surroundings. She quickly realized that food in this world was entirely different. Her constant hunger disappeared, and the food she found here did not evoke the same addiction in her. Instead of devouring everything she saw, Nonoko decided to learn how to cook. Eager to utilize her culinary skills in the new world, Nonoko began experimenting experimenting with different ingredients and recipes. She opened her own fast food restaurant where she prepared delicious and unique dishes for the residents of Avatar World. Her food became so delightful and appealing that people of all ages started coming to her. As Nonoko established herself as a popular chef in Avatar World, the wizard who transported her to this world decided to visit her. He was convinced that Nonoko had already depleted all the food supplies in Avatar World and offered her a chance to return to Tokaboka. The wizard came to Nonoko's restaurant, where she cooked her dishes with a smile and joy for her guests. He was amazed at how she transformed her food addiction into the art of culinary, but he still offered her a chance to return to her native world. However, Nonoko declined the wizard's offer. She explained that in Avatar World, she had found her true calling and happiness. The wizard was amazed by Nonoko's determination and realized that her place truly was here. Her story became a legend, proving that one can find happiness by helping others. Now I will tell you the story of a little girl named Bonnie. She was from the Tokaboka universe, but one day she found herself in the Avatar World. It's a very strange story, and now I will tell it to you. Bonnie lived in the amazing universe of Tokaboka, where all the children were ordinary and looked the same. However, Bonnie had an incredible power within her, the ability to teleport. But Bonnie couldn't always control this power. Every time she experienced strong emotions, she would unexpectedly teleport. The distance of her teleportation depended on the intensity of the emotions she felt. All these random teleportations always happened within the world of Tokaboka. One day, a tragedy struck Bonnie. Her beloved pet died. She was so devastated and saddened that in that very moment, she teleported. But this time, she ended up in the Avatar World. Bonnie wandered through the forest, searching for a way back home. Suddenly, she encountered a forest ranger, to whom she told her story. Although the ranger doubted the truthfulness of such tales, he still gave Bonnie a hint about a place where people find peace and harmony. It was a place where monks lived and practiced the art of harnessing powers. Bonnie went there and told the monks about her adventure. They accepted her and believed in her story. The monks wanted to help her master and control her power, but unfortunately, they had lost a magical statuette that would have helped Bonnie develop her gift. She decided to embark on a quest to find this statuette, to locate it and use her power for the greater good. After several days of relentless searching, Bonnie discovered the statuette at the bottom of a lake. As she held it in her hands, she felt the inner harmony and peace she had been longing for. With joy, Bonnie returned the statuette to the monks. Thanks to this magical statuette, Bonnie learned to control her power and effortlessly returned home to the world of Tokaboka. Thus, thanks to her adventure in the Avatar World, Bonnie gained understanding and the ability to harness her power. Now she used her abilities to perform good deeds and help others. Her journey to the Avatar World became a lesson and an important stage in her personal and abilities development. She learned to accept and control strong emotions to avoid accidental teleportations. Friends, write in the comments whose story you would like to hear in the next video. Like and subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye. Now I will tell you the story of a girl named Poppy. She was found by a teacher named Lois on her doorstep and adopted her. But over time, Lois realized that Poppy was no ordinary girl. This is a very remarkable story, and now I will tell it to you. The story of the girl named Poppy began when she was found by a teacher named Lois on her doorstep. Seeing the defenseless girl, Lois decided to adopt her and give her a home. But over time, Lois realized that Poppy was no ordinary girl. It turned out that Poppy was not a normal girl, but a monster doll created to scare people. She was unique because she didn't age and maintained her appearance unchanged. Despite this, Poppy went to school, but she had no friends. All her classmates considered her strange and foolish, and they avoided interacting with her. One day, a group of malicious children, led by Brett, locked Poppy in the bathroom for several hours. Lois tried to help Poppy and attempted to persuade the bullies to make amends, but they only pretended that everything was fine. However, strange disappearances began to occur soon after. One by one, the bullies who tormented Poppy and other children who mistreated her vanished. People organized searches, but all efforts proved futile. Lois couldn't believe that her adopted daughter could be involved in these disappearances, but one day she found an item belonging to one of the missing children in Poppy's room. The next day, Poppy was the only one who showed up for class, as children and their parents were afraid of the mystical disappearances. When Poppy returned home, Lois decided to tell her about finding the missing child's item. Unexpectedly, Poppy admitted that they had encountered the missing children and exchanged belongings. Astonished by this confession, Lois believed her. At night, Lois couldn't sleep and decided to check Poppy's room. To her horror, she discovered that Poppy had disappeared and was no longer in the house. The next morning, news broke about the disappearance of the last of Poppy's tormentors, Brett. The only thing that was found was his sneakers left on the shore of a small lake. She wasn't afraid of Poppy, and Lois didn't want to lose a daughter she never had. However, over time, investigators learned about Poppy's involvement in the disappearances of people, but they didn't find a single trace of the doll girl's presence in Lois's house. Now I will tell you about a monster that you all know, and his name is Huggy-Wuggy. One day, he accidentally ended up in the Avatar world. Huggy-Wuggy loved scaring the local inhabitants, but one day, everything changed. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell it to you. Once upon a time, Huggy-Wuggy, a renowned monster, was banished from his native world and found himself transported to the Avatar world. In this incident, he realized that his appearance had changed, and he now resembled a human, but inside he still retained his monstrosity. Huggy-Wuggy always derived immense pleasure from scaring the local inhabitants, especially children. As soon as they noticed him, people would scream and run away in fear, which brought him great delight. One fine day, Huggy-Wuggy decided to venture out onto the streets of the Avatar world to relish in the fear of passers-by. He was confident that his presence would once again cause panic and chaos. To his surprise, he noticed a group of children playing nearby. Huggy-Wuggy dashed towards them and let out a loud scream. As usual, all the children scattered, except for one boy who remained seated on the ground, not understanding what was happening. This boy had poor eyesight, but managed to make out Huggy-Wuggy and expressed gratitude towards him. It turned out that the children whom Huggy-Wuggy had scared away before had been bullying this boy. Although Huggy-Wuggy claimed to hate helping people and refused any gratitude, he felt a strange sense of pleasantness inside. He couldn't understand what was happening to him. The next day, Huggy-Wuggy decided to follow the boy to learn more about his life. He witnessed the boy being bullied again and suddenly felt compelled to protect him. He rushed forward and declared that this child was under his protection, and anyone who wished him harm would have to deal with Huggy-Wuggy. And so, the monster named Huggy-Wuggy found himself a friend named Michael. From that moment on, Huggy-Wuggy began to do only good deeds. As they brought him more pleasure than scaring people and committing misdeeds, he felt that he had become a necessary and useful member of society. From then on, Huggy-Wuggy used his strength and monstrosity to defend the weak and help those in need. Thus, Huggy-Wuggy, going through changes and meeting Michael, became a genuinely helpful and kind being. He utilized his unique abilities to protect Michael and others who needed assistance. Now I will tell you the story of a teacher named Miss Delight. She travels through worlds to feed on the fear of children, and this time she ended up in Avatar world. It's a very unusual story, and now I will tell it to you. Miss Delight, a teacher with unusual abilities, went to the Avatar world school to start a new job. The school principal was impressed by her enthusiasm and love for children, and accepted her without hesitation. Miss Delight's first day went smoothly, and all the children were thrilled with her. They received good grades from her, and each of them felt they had found a true friend and mentor. However, something strange happened the next day. During class, a janitor accidentally fell, causing Miss Delight to laugh. But what surprised the children was that her laughter turned into anger, and she started shouting at the poor janitor. Some of the children noticed that her eyes turned red, which alarmed them. The next day, Miss Delight brought a rabbit to the class to diversify the lessons. At first, everyone was happy to see the cute, fluffy animal, but suddenly the teacher announced that they had to conduct experiments on the rabbit. This shocked and saddened the children. One of the boys decided not to allow this and took the rabbit away from Miss Delight. He said he disagreed with her methods and wouldn't let the animal suffer. In a fit of rage, Miss Delight expelled the boy from the class. But the other children sided with him. They believed that their teacher had gone too far and forgotten her responsibilities. Together with the boy she expelled, they decided to confront her and find out what was really going on. The children began to investigate and learn more about Miss Delight. They sneaked into her office and found strange notes and blueprints there. It turned out that Miss Delight was a robot created to harness the energy of children's fear. Her task was to travel to different worlds and feed on the fear of children. One of the boys in the group, Max, had programming skills and computer knowledge. He suggested using his skills to hack into the robot's control system and shut it down, and everyone agreed and was ready to help. Max needed some time and concentration to figure out the complex system of wires and components. However, thanks to his programming knowledge, he found the secret shutdown button for the robot. At that moment, all the other children in the class felt that something had happened. Miss Delight stopped moving and speaking, and the children felt relieved. Max left the office and reported his success. Thus, the children saved themselves and other children through their bravery and observance. The whole town learned about this incident, but no one understood how this intelligent robot ended up in Avatar world. Now I will tell you a story about an unusual character called Daddy Longlegs. One day he entered the Avatar world with the intention of capturing the entire population. This is one of my scariest stories, and now I will tell it to you. In the Avatar world, there lived the Thompson family. They were happy and spent cozy time together until the day that turned their lives upside down. On the day when the mother and children returned home, they discovered that that their father look at and behave differently. Daddy Longlegs, known for his ability to change people's appearances, infiltrated the Thompson family's life. He replaced the real father, assuming his appearance, and began behaving strangely. He was distant, cold, and did things that raised suspicions in the mother and children. The mother, feeling that something was off, started paying attention to small details. She noticed that the father avoided close contact and tried to hide his eyes. The children, though young, also sensed that something was wrong with their father. They noticed that he didn't remember some important moments from their past and behaved illogically. The family decided to expose the strange father and uncover his true identity. They decided to conduct their own investigation. One night, when the fake father was occupied in the living room, they boldly went up to the attic to find answers. In the attic, they discovered the real father, bound and locked in a corner. He was weak and frightened. They were shocked and decided to chase the intruder away together. But when they went downstairs, they couldn't find Daddy Longlegs, and he never appeared again. And so, the next character whose story I'm going to tell you today will be Mommy Longlegs. Yes, that's right, she's from the Poppy Playtime universe. One day, walking through the forest at night, she met a girl who got lost. The girl was very scared because she did not know where her parents were. Mommy Longlegs didn't want to leave her here alone. She offered to go with her to eat ice cream. The girl was very surprised because the ice cream parlor closed many years ago. But still, she agreed to go. When Mommy Longlegs and a girl named Katie came to the cafe, Katie was shocked. It turned out that this cafe didn't actually close. Instead, the most popular people in Avatar World were having parties here. Katie was very glad that she met her favorite characters from Avatar World in this cafe. She ate ice cream with Mommy Longlegs and them, and then returned home. Katie told her parents about it. At first, they were angry because Katie came home late, but after that, they were glad that the girl met with celebrities and returned home. Now I will tell you a story about a monster who became a human. Her name is Kissy Missy, and she ended up in the Avatar world from another dimension. She continued to bring fear and terror into the lives of others, but one day, everything changed. It's a very strange story, and now I will tell it to you. Kissy Missy found herself abandoned in the Avatar world from her native dimension. For some time, Kissy Missy continued to bring fear and terror into the lives of others, and her favorite pastime was to scare them. She also loved to eat, and in a short period of time, she managed to ravage several restaurants with the most exquisite and delicious food in the Avatar world. However, something happened one day that changed her perception entirely. Mistaking a grocery store for an animal shelter, Kissy Missy decided to sneak inside to have some fun and scare the visitors. To her surprise, inside she saw a little girl holding a small, harmless snake in her hands. In that moment, Kissy Missy felt true fear like she had never experienced before. This creature terrified her. She immediately left the store and couldn't believe what she had just witnessed. Kissy Missy had never considered that there could be something scarier than herself, but this innocent snake proved otherwise. After this unusual event, Kissy Missy made the decision to leave the Avatar world and never return. She realized that her actions only brought fear and suffering to other beings, and she could no longer tolerate it. The little snake became an unexpected and extraordinary source of enlightenment for Kissy Missy, and she decided to change her life. Thus, thanks to this little snake, Kissy Missy liberated the city from her dreadful influence. This story reminds us that even the most unusual and unexpected events can change our perspective and help us find a path to a better version of ourselves. Now, I will tell you the story of an amazing girl named Catnap. She is the most elusive thief in the entire universe, all because she has the ability to change her appearance. It's a very interesting story, and I will now tell it to you. Catnap traveled through different worlds, stealing valuable items that she would either keep for herself or sell. This time, she decided to visit Avatar World, where her first target was an ordinary house. She wanted to practice and test her skills before a major heist. One morning, she knocked on the door of that house and instantly transformed into an ordinary cat. The homeowner thought someone had left a small kitten at his door and decided to take it into his home. While the homeowner went to work, leaving the cat at home, Catnap returned to her human form and began searching for the items that interested her. She managed to steal everything she needed, and everything went smoothly. When the homeowner returned, he couldn't understand how the theft had occurred as there were no traces of the culprit. On the next night, Catnap decided to visit a technology store. It turned out to be easier than she thought because the security guard was asleep. Inside the store, she saw numerous interesting technological innovations and unusual trinkets. Suddenly, her gaze fell upon a super suit, and she immediately envisioned how much money she could get for selling it. But, lost in thought, she didn't notice the security guard waking up and spotting her. Startled, Catnap instantly transformed into a small kitten, and the guard, frightened, shouted, further scaring the thief. In the end, she managed to escape, but now the entire Avatar world knew about the mysterious girl who stole valuable items. Catnap realized that she could no longer risk returning there. She also realized that the items she had stolen from the man in the ordinary house were of no use to her, so she returned to his house disguised as a cat. He was delighted to see her because after his beloved possessions were stolen, he was in a terrible mood. While the owner went to work, Catnap decided to do a good deed and returned everything she had stolen. When the homeowner returned, he couldn't understand how it could happen again. The little cat disappeared, but all his belongings were returned. However, later on, he heard about Catnap in the news, and everything became clear to him. After that, he became wary of all pets. Since then, Catnap continued her adventures in other worlds, constantly changing her appearance and stealing valuables. Her story became a legend, and many spoke of her cunning and incredible abilities. Everyone awaited their next encounter with this amazing and enigmatic girl who remained beyond the reach of the law. Such is the story of Catnap, the elusive thief whose crimes and abilities inspired awe and fear at the same time. Her adventures continued, and she remained a mystery to everyone who sought to capture her. Now I will tell you the story of Bobby Hugger, who ended up in the Avatar world from a completely different dimension. Bobby was a unique creature that looked different from all the other inhabitants of the Avatar world. His appearance resembled a monster, and as a result, people in the Avatar world avoided him. However, despite his unusualness, Bobby had one peculiar characteristic. He loved hugging. Unfortunately, due to his appearance, he didn't find many like-minded individuals who shared this habit with him. One day, Bobby Hugger had a strong desire to hug someone and decided to approach a girl he met on the street to ask her for a hug. However, when he approached her with this request, she became frightened by his appearance and recoiled, and then she got angry and cursed at Bobby. Broken-hearted and disappointed, Bobby couldn't hold back his tears and ran away, crying. The next day, Bobby heard his name on the news. It turned out that rumors were circulating throughout the Avatar world about a strange person who persistently bothered passers-by. Bobby Hugger was saddened and confused, not knowing what to do in such a situation. His heart was filled with sorrow, and he decided to retreat to the forest where there were no people, to be alone with his thoughts. However, as Bobby walked through the forest, he noticed a boy drowning in a lake. Without hesitation, Bobby instantly jumped into the water and saved the child from peril. This heroic act was captured on the cell phone camera of a nearby forest ranger. Later, the video was uploaded to the internet. When the video of rescuing the child became popular, the entire population of the Avatar world learned about Bobby Hugger and his kind heart. People realized how wrong they were to judge Bobby based on his appearance. They saw that behind the monster was a creature capable of selfless acts and eager to share his love and care with others. Since then, the attitude towards Bobby Hugger in the Avatar world changed. People stopped avoiding him and began to appreciate his kindness and his desire to hug. Bobby found new friends who were ready to accept him just the way he was. His story became an inspiration for all the inhabitants of Avatar world, teaching them not to judge people by their appearance and to be open to new acquaintances. Thus, Bobby Hugger managed to change the world of Avatar world, overcoming stereotypes and prejudices. Now I will tell you about an unusual character named Boogie Bot. He loves to travel to different worlds and explore them. This time, in this world, an extraordinary story happened to him, and now I will tell you about it. Once upon a time, in a remote corner of a multidimensional universe, there lived an extraordinary character named Boogie Bot. His passion was to travel through different worlds and explore their mysteries and delights. Boogie Bot was an outstanding explorer, but his true passion belonged to humans. He would curiously observe them in cafes, parks, supermarkets, striving to capture and acquire their best qualities and talents. However, he did all of this at the behest of his mysterious creator, who had programmed this inexplicable attachment to the human world into him. In the far reaches of the universe, there was the one who gave Boogie Bot this love for humans, and it was all intended so that Boogie Bot's owner could possess all the talents and abilities of all beings, becoming the most skilled and versatile creature in the entire universe. One day, when Boogie Bot set out to explore a new location in the world of Avatar, he came across a small stage where a real human, remarkably similar to Boogie Bot himself, was performing. This guy's name was Chris, and his enchanting voice magically captivated both people and the robot himself. In that moment, Boogie Bot felt a thirst for singing as well, and decided to acquire this talent for himself. However, when they got acquainted, Boogie Bot learned an amazing story from Chris that turned his own perception of his existence upside down. Chris revealed that he, too, was created by a talented engineer to serve his owner. However, in the process of his development, Chris realized that he no longer wanted to be just a tool in the hands of his creator. He desired autonomy, freedom, and the opportunity to share his gift with other people. And when Chris and Boogie Bot met, an incredible idea arose between them. They decided to combine their talents and become a duo, performing for the inhabitants of the Avatar world. Chris, with his beautiful voice, and Boogie Bot, with his unique robotic abilities, created an unparalleled show that no one had ever seen before. Their performances became incredibly popular because the Avatar world had never encountered a robot capable of singing so beautifully and conveying emotions through its mechanical sounds. Boogie Bot and Chris became not only renowned artists, but also icons of freedom and self-expression. expression. Their performances inspired the people of the Avatar world to contemplate their own abilities and strive for creativity. Hello, friends. Now I will tell you a story about a character you all know well. Her name is Ladybug. She deliberately ventured into the Avatar world to cleanse the city of evil. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell it to you. One day, Ladybug, well known to everyone, set out for the Avatar world with one goal in mind: to rid the city of evil. She had heard about a girl named Katnap's plans to steal the most valuable costume in the Avatar world. However, due to a small mistake, Katnap failed to carry out her sinister scheming. Ladybug, determined to help the residents of the Avatar world and punish the criminals, took it upon herself to ensure the city's safety. Ladybug patrolled the streets for many hours, but she only managed to stop a couple of boys who were trying to steal lemonade from a little girl. Suddenly, her attention was drawn to a scrap of paper lying on the ground. Deciding to pick it up, Ladybug saw her name written on it. The scrap of paper contained the following message: Ladybug, you will never stop us. We are in dire need of the iron suit. Realizing that the villains were eager to obtain the suit, she immediately headed to where it was located. Unfortunately, upon arrival, she discovered that the suit was no longer there. However, as Ladybug turned around, she saw that the suit was already worn by a person, and he was not alone. The main villain began his speech, while those behind him suddenly disappeared. The suddenness of the events frightened Ladybug, as she did not expect such a turn of events. The villain noticed the strange expression on Ladybug's face and looked around. Seizing the moment, Ladybug quickly used her powers and rendered him powerless. Thus, the suit was saved. It turned out that Katnap, recalling her dark past, decided to engage in acts of goodness and learned about the robbery plans. She chose to help Ladybug and assisted in defeating the villains. Thanks to this joint feat, Katnap and Ladybug became friends, united in the fight against crime in the Avatar world. Over time, Ladybug and Katnap continued to fight evil together, protecting the peaceful inhabitants of the city. Their friendship grew stronger with each new adventure, and they discovered that their skills and abilities complemented each other perfectly. Together, they tackled various criminal schemes and protected the citizens of Avatar world from new threats. Now I will tell you the story of a very famous character that everyone knows. His name is Noir Cat, and one day, he decided to embark on a journey to the Avatar world to start a new life. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell it to you. So, let me present you the story of Noir Cat, a very famous character who decided to start a new life in the Avatar world. Every day, Noir Cat helped people in his city as a superhero, but decided to take a break and venture into the Avatar world to relax from his usual duties. In this amazing world, he found joy and fun, exploring its beauty and diversity. He delved into the depths of the deepest lake, enjoying its mysterious depths, and jumped on trampolines, feeling free and carefree. He indulged in delicious but unhealthy food, not thinking about his superhero responsibilities and relying on other defenders of the city. However, one day his carefree pastime was interrupted by the cries of children. Noir Cat instantly felt that something was wrong. He turned around and saw a gigantic monster emerging from the depths of the lake, terrifying not only the children, but also himself and all the adults. The monster demanded the return of its precious belongings and wreaked havoc in its path. Noir Cat was puzzled and couldn't understand what made the monster emerge from the water and begin its destructive attack on land. Suddenly, an important detail resurfaced in his memory. When he was exploring the lake's bottom, he found an amazing, shiny necklace and decided to keep it for himself. Realizing this, Noir Cat grabbed the necklace and threw it towards the monster. The necklace hit the target instantly, and something incredible happened. The monster evaporated into thin air, as if it had never existed. It turned out that the necklace had a special power capable of reversing the monster's destructive intentions. When everything around calmed down, the children and adults turned their attention to Noir Cat. They were grateful to him for his bravery and for saving them from danger. Noir Cat modestly smiled and said that he was always ready to help and protect those in need. From that day on, Noir Cat became an even more famous and respected superhero, not only in his city but also in the Avatar world. He continued to embark on adventures, helping people and defending them from evil. His story became legendary, and his name became a symbol of hope and salvation. Now, I will tell you the story of a terrible villain. His name is Gabriel Agreste. One day, he decided to bring terror to the world of Avatar. It's an exciting story, and I will now tell you all the details. Gabriel Agreste always dreamed of becoming the greatest villain, but in his own world, no one feared him. So he decided to travel to the world of Avatar, where he hoped to achieve his goal. Arrogant and greedy, he intended to intimidate and subjugate the inhabitants of this amazing world. To begin with, Gabriel Agreste decided to frighten little children. He approached a crowd of defenseless children and suddenly suddenly screamed. However, instead of fear, the children not only weren't scared, but also laughed loudly at the sight of the villain. Gabriel Agreste was astonished by their reaction and immediately fled, shocked that his attempt to intimidate them didn't work. Gabriel was saddened, realizing that not even small children were afraid of him. He understood that his dream of becoming a great villain would never come true. However, a new idea came to his mind, not just scaring people, but committing a crime. Gabriel Agreste decided to steal all the pets in the world of Avatar. One night, under the cover of darkness, he broke into a pet store, making sure that no one except the animals was around. Carefully, one by one, he began to steal them and bring them to his home. Everything went smoothly, and the next day, the news spread about the horrifying theft of puppies, kittens, and other pets. Gabriel Agreste felt genuine satisfaction. However, a week later, Gabriel Agreste realized that his plan was foolish and ill-conceived. He understood that he couldn't live properly in such conditions, surrounded by dozens of animals that he had to take care of. He realized that his desire to become a villain wasn't worth such sacrifices. The following night, feeling regret and acknowledging his mistake, Gabriel Agreste returned all the pets back to the pet store. The news quickly spread, and all the residents were relieved to learn that their beloved pets had returned. However, nobody could understand where these animals had been during the entire week, so Gabriel Agreste realized that he wasn't ready to be a villain. He acknowledged his mistake and understood that his actions were selfish and wrong. It became clear to him that becoming a great villain was not the true path to happiness and fulfillment. From that moment on, Gabriel Agreste decided to change his life. He dedicated himself to acts of kindness and started helping other people and animals. Now I will tell you about an interesting girl. Her name is Chloe Bourgeois. She is one of the most powerful villains who now lives in the Avatar world. But one day, her worldview changed. It's a very interesting story, and now I will tell it to you. Chloe Bourgeois had an incredible ability to freeze time for her enemies. She easily defeated them, rendering them unable to resist. Using her powers, Chloe restricted their movements only against her enemies. However, over time, something started to change in her worldview. Chloe felt that her abilities could be used for negative purposes. She began freezing vendors in supermarkets and clothing stores to steal delicious food and expensive outfits. Gradually, Chloe stopped limiting herself to just her enemies and started freezing people who annoyed her or simply displeased her. However, during her actions, Chloe gradually realized that all the people in the Avatar world began to irritate her. At one point, she made the decision to freeze time in the entire world, leaving herself as the only one who could move. Initially, this brought her complete peace and the ability to do whatever she wanted. However, after 2 weeks, Chloe felt that nothing brought her pleasure anymore. Despite having complete freedom of action, she realized the immense value that people represented in her life. Recognizing her mistake, Chloe made the decision to revert everything back since people didn't even notice that something had happened. Chloe changed internally and realized that she no longer wanted to use her amazing abilities for evil. She decided to give up her villainous life and began using her powers for the benefit of others. Chloe started helping people by using her ability to freeze time to prevent dangers or assist in difficult situations. Her transformation caused surprise and confusion among those around her, but Chloe continued her mission, striving to make the Avatar world a better place for all its inhabitants. Thus, Chloe Bourgeois went a long way from being a villain to becoming a heroine, realizing the importance of goodness and people in her life. Her story became an example of how a person can change and use their abilities for the benefit of others. Later, Chloe shared her extraordinary experience, which had changed her life, with her friends. However, no one believed her, but we know the truth of what really happened. Now, I will tell you about an amazing girl. Her name is Nathalie Sancure. She was an ordinary person, living her ordinary life in another world. But one day, everything changed. It's a very interesting story. One day, she felt that her existence was meaningless, and so she decided to start fresh by entering the Avatar world. In this new world, she hoped to find her purpose and discover her true essence. Upon arriving in the Avatar world, Nathalie immersed herself in exploring this amazing realm. She traveled through its vast landscapes, discovering new lands, tribes, and cultures. One day, during one of her explorations, she stumbled upon a peculiar little statue. When Nathalie picked it up, she felt an extraordinary power coursing through her mind. Suddenly, she realized that she possessed knowledge about everything in the Avatar world, as if an incredible wisdom had awakened within her. Using this newfound power, Nathalie made the decision to create a copy of herself. She formed an exact replica of her personality and sent it back to her native world, hoping that this copy would be with her loved ones and assist them in their life struggles. At the same time, the real Nathalie decided to dedicate her life to helping the inhabitants of the Avatar world. She built a small temple where people could seek help and advice. Inside the temple, Nathalie shared her knowledge and skills, assisting the residents in resolving their problems. Thus, Nathalie Sancure found meaning in her life. Now, I will tell you the story of a girl named Mirana. She is not an ordinary person and ended up in the Avatar world when she was a baby. This is one of the most extraordinary stories, and I will now tell it to you. One night, Charles and Elsa heard strange sounds in the hallway of their house. They were already asleep and thought they were imagining things, but the sound repeated, and Charles decided to investigate. Carefully descending the stairs, he saw a small stone near the front door and heard crying. To his surprise, the lump turned out to be a small baby girl. Mirana, as they named the child, had a unique violet color. Next to her was a note asking them to take care of her. Charles and Elsa welcomed Mirana into their family and raised her, despite her uniqueness. As the years went by, Mirana grew up and went to school. However, the local children did not accept her because she was different. Instead of being saddened by this, Mirana found solace in spending time alone and walking through the forest at night, gazing at the stars. One day, while Mirana was once again gazing at the sky, she noticed a strange shimmering and heard someone calling her name from behind. Turning around, she saw a person who looked just like her. This mysterious stranger turned out to be her father. Mirana was amazed and asked why he had come for her only now. Her father explained that their home planet had been destroyed many years ago, and he had sent Mirana in a rescue pod to the nearest planet with civilization. All this time, he had been searching for his daughter. That's when Mirana made the decision to go with her father and meet Charles and Elsa, the people who had always cared for her. The reunion was touching, and they agreed that Mirana would regularly visit her adoptive family. Thus, Mirana was reunited with her true family, despite all the peculiarities that set her apart from others.